Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 105, A Marilyn. It was hazy at first, like a brown flea clinging to a dog's rocky nose, but there was no denying that that was pony made. As Rainbow Dash flew closer, a wooden cabin came into focus. It stood on the eastern promontory of a jutting mountain, one of the last few peaks from the ridge dividing the rough topography of the west from the sloping terrain stretching comfortably in front of the Pegasus. What was more, the cabin wasn't alone. There stood a tall wooden cabin to the side of it, complete with a red flag that billowed in the wind. It appeared to be a lookout of sorts, but as Rainbow Dash touched down, she discovered the tower was deserted. With anticipation, Rainbow trotted around until she was peering into a faded blue glass on the northern side of the cabin. Sure enough, no pony was inside. Regardless, this hardly depressed her. She was certain that she stumbled upon further evidence of civilization beyond the peak, and soon she'd be in the company of things slightly less boring than snow-covered mountains. Without a second breath, Rainbow Dash kicked off the wooden building and flew under the midday sun. The clouds were heavy here, but they were hardly ominous. A gentle, silky quality embodied them, causing them to drift like transparent balloons over the enormity of the outstretched plains. Rainbow Dash was coming upon the largest valley she had ever witnessed in her life. Instead of being arid and dry like the deserts of Appaloosa, this place was teeming with grass and bushes. The landscape had a moist, teal color to it, as if the morning dew never evaporated from the floor of the world. Whatever this Marilyn was, it not only lived up to its name, it surpassed it. A tinging freshness filled Rainbow's nostrils as she coasted lower and lower across the landscape. The air was still cold, but not in an excruciating way. She enjoyed the full breath she was able to afford suddenly, skimming over the last of several rocky barricades as she came upon the full depth of the enormous valley. As she soared past several clusters of stone, she heard the thick trickle of cascading water and glanced down. She was startled to see a flat wooden roof, followed by a slowly rotating wheel of oaken paddles. It was a mill, and a water wheel had been erected at the neck of a rapidly gushing waterfall. What was more, there were four-legged creatures trotting back and forth between instruments and workstations. They were earth ponies, Rainbow Dash surmised, with a prolonged yet smiling groan. Instead of leather, many of them had their front halves and lower legs bundled in wool. A glittering sheen of moisture danced off the fabric of their sweaters as they briskly worked to make meal out of thatched wheat. Unlike the grim inhabitants of Windthrow, these ponies bore a relatively pleasant complexion. They frequently paused in the middle of their own work to greet the other ponies and share pleasant conversation. Several ponies laughed, others nuzzled each other, and as soon as the desperate bits of conversation ended, the workers went on their merry way. Overall, they were as happy and resplendent as the immense land they worked off of. Rainbow Dash raised an eyebrow as she heard shouting ahead of her. Facing east once again, she discovered she was gliding over several rooftops of a tiny wooden village lying at the foot of the mountains. The place was tinier than Ponyville, and it hugged the smallest, quaintest of lakes that collected on the far end of the creek beyond the mill. Still, the dwelling felt as densely populated as from where Rainbow hailed. Ponies formed busy clusters in the marketplace, took their pets on walks, chatted with other loved ones, and escorted their foals to and from school. If Rainbow Dash tried really hard, she imagined she could hear singing. Attracted once again to the sound of shouts, Rainbow glanced to her left. She saw a wide open field between a triad of large buildings. Within, several ponies had lined up into two groups, and several more ponies spectated as the two teams fought for control over a bouncing ball. Rainbow spotted the netted goals on the far end of each field, and was swiftly beginning to figure out the rules without even asking any pony. Not a single soul glanced up at her as she circled lower and lower around the field. She imagined that it was because they're earth ponies. Much like the northern populace of Wintergate, they weren't familiar with Pegasi. Stifling a tiny snicker, Rainbow Dash flew down and settled upon a wooden shed just beyond the cheering bystanders. Relaxing her wings, she squatted low and listened in on the ballgame.